Do you make a good amount of money?
Enough.
Okay. Wow. Your vibe on a relationship in terms of finances?
Well, I've always been a provider, so...
Because I only date men that pay for everything. Like, I kind of want to be like a trophy wife. That's my vibe.
I really want to pretend to be sort of surprised by what I saw, but I'm not. Because at the end of the day, the people that misbehaved, I expected it of them. Maybe Alisa is the only one that I didn't expect it of. But otherwise, the other wives, Gia and Beck, with Danny, that's not a surprise to me because they're not happy in their couples. They never were. They were just biding time to get clicks and followers. So at the end of the day, it is what it is. For Danny to try and give us a lecture on men and what it means to be a man, okay, buddy, you mansplain it to us and we will sit here and listen. Because there is nothing for him, or there's no reason why he should be criticizing people who have decided to respect their partners and leave. At the end of the day, Gia and Alisa can be very sort of toxic. And so for their husbands to decide to leave, that was in their best interest because it was a no-win situation. The wives are happy to sort of misbehave, but when it comes to the husbands, they like to call them out. So I'm not surprised that David and Scott left. It was a given. Philip was respectful, and then at the end of the day, he sort of left as well. But I didn't like that the men were being held at ransom by Danny and being forced to sit there just because all in the name of sort of respecting the wives. Okay. Anyway, hey there, thanks for stopping by. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, click the like button, turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos, and definitely leave a comment. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Married at First Sight Australia, Season 13, Episode 34. Okay, so we have Alisa and David. They're up. It's still, going on since the commitment ceremony. Alisa is saying she feels blindsided. She's upset. She feels like, David sort of threw her under the bus because he is not speaking up for himself. She's been suspecting that something is not right in the marriage. And so surprisingly, she's realized that he's been holding back and sort of he hasn't been saying what he feels and only waited until the very last week. He could have brought this up earlier and they could have resolved this. And it's like, I think the reason why David didn't bring it up was, one, he really likes his wife and didn't want to upset her. Two, he was told that we can't say anything negative about one another because we're trying to project a certain image by his wife. And so I'm not surprised that he didn't say anything. And I think being a black man as well, for him to have this back and forth with this woman wouldn't have been a good look. He might have got the villain's edit. So he chose to keep quiet and hope that things would work out. Alisa is still talking over him. That's a given. She's still talking over him, and just she expects him to voice his his ideas or whatever's nagging him. How is he going to speak up when you're constantly talking over him? Make that make sense? Surprise, surprise, Beck and Gia are now friends. They went to a pub. Apparently, they're both upset with their husbands because they feel betrayed by their husbands. And it's like, make it make sense. I really don't get it. When did the two of you suddenly become friends? They both decided to ignore their husbands and not let their husbands know where they were going. They were complaining bitterly about their husbands, and they sort of decided to unite in their misery because they feel like their husbands have lied to them, have thrown them under the bus. You had Beck complain bitterly that she was having SEX once a week, and it's like, seriously, make it make sense. Make it make sense. Now you're telling us this. Why didn't you bring this up with the experts? If this was a complaint, Gia complained bitterly that Scott threw her under the bus. He didn't tell her what he was going to say. And suddenly when they got there, he started regurgitating stuff that she didn't expect. So she decided to leave and she left and they met up with Gia. Scott on his own, he's sort of very worried because Scott sadly is having a mental breakdown. And I don't know what the mental health team on the show are doing because they should have pulled him out, really. They should have pulled him out for his own safety because he's going to go into crisis. And it seems in the next episode, he is actually going to have a mental health crisis, which is really sad. So he is saying that his wife left. He doesn't know where she's gone. He's tried calling her. She's not picking up her phone. Danny, on his part, is puzzled because he doesn't understand why Beck decided to go and meet up with Gia, given the fact that Gia has lied about them as a couple. So he doesn't get why suddenly Beck and Gia are friends. He thinks that, this isn't good enough. She shouldn't be entertaining someone who's sort of caused a lot of harm in their relationship. You then have name calling and saying their husbands are intimidated by strong women. She calls out David, she calls out Scott, she calls out Danny. She said they are very intimidated by the fact that they're coupled up with strong women, so they can't stand that. This is why they are the way they are. She used the P word, and it's just like, for those that were excusing her behavior, this is who she is. When you upset her, she goes to the gutter, and that's it. She goes so low, not even anyone can get down there. And it's like, oh my God, this is really bad. Eventually, you have Gia go back and meet up with Scott. And Scott is very upset. He is saying, how did you end up in a pub with Beck? I thought you and Beck were not friends. Beck hasn't been the nicest person to you. So the idea that you and her are going out for drinks and are having chats, I don't understand. She's on her part, Gia, saying that I don't have any more friends left in the experiment. So Beck is all I have. And this is why I decided to sit down with her. And it's like, I don't think that's it. She could have asked anybody else. She could have asked Stella. She could have asked even Rachel to say, let's sit down and have a conversation. I just need someone to talk to. This was done in a malice way. It wasn't because these are two people that accidentally bumped into one another. I think they knew the backlash they would face from their husbands and decided to sort of try and tarnish their husbands' reactions to their benefit. Beck sat down with Danny, and Danny was upset because he doesn't like Gia after all the allegations that were made. So he doesn't understand, why are you sitting there and having a conversation with someone who is not after our best interest? And Beck on her part, I don't understand. She was talking about, when I'm upset, I name call. That's just my way of self-protection. I don't think so. I think Beck just likes to hear Beck speak. She doesn't listen to understand. She listens to respond, and that's who she is, which is really sad. So you have all the couples just hanging around in their rooms waiting for their next challenge. Everybody doesn't know what's about to happen. They receive a mail to say that they're going out for a meal. The girls are going on their own and the guys are going on their own. John reveals that this is alternate partner week. So the second person that was sort of a backup to their current partner is who they're going to meet up with. And it's like, this is going to be messy. It really is going to be messy, especially given the fact that some people are in marriages that are not working at the moment. So the idea that you'd want to throw them under the bus and put them in this relationship doesn't make sense. So they then meet up. The guys, when they realize that they're meeting with their alternate wives or partners, they are upset. They really are upset. They want to leave. And then you had Danny have to sort of encourage everyone to say, let's just sit down, have a conversation, see where we stand, and then we'll leave together. We don't need to just disrespect them and just turn away. They've come to see us, so let's go have a conversation with them and see where we stand. And it's like, oh my God, this is about to be messy. So David apparently was matched with Crystal. Crystal, she looks very, very beautiful. She seems mellower than Alisa, so I think she would have been better for him. It seems like at times what you ask for, they decide to give you the opposite. Because I think had he been married to someone like Crystal, their marriage would have worked. Because David didn't want the hot mess that would come with Alisa, he decided to excuse himself and went to the toilet and said, I'm sorry, but I can't stay. I have to leave because I'm in a very good space with my wife. We're having problems, yes, but I think I'd rather go home and we sort that out. It's like, if that works for you, amazing. Scott was matched with, I think it was Chanel. It was Chanel, if I'm not mistaken. So he was matched with Chanel, I think, if I'm not mistaken, or Lauren, one of the two. I don't quite remember. And so he apologized to her and explained to her that I am having issues in my marriage, yes, but I really like my partner and I really want to work to fix the issues that I'm having in my relationship. So I'm not happy to sit with you just because I don't want to learn anything about you, because I have issues in my marriage that I want to work on and sort of improve my relationship. And it was kudos to him. So he then stood up. David followed him. They went and they sat in the toilet. I think production kept them in the toilet while they were trying to make alternative arrangements for them to leave. And it was really sad that you could hear them talking. They weren't happy. They are anxious about their marriages, but at the same time, they want to leave. Sadly, they should have sent a little bird with a note to their wives, because their wives were completely opposite. Alisa, she would have been coupled up with Connor. She was excited from the moment she saw him. They were sharing jokes. She talked about David would be upset if he found out that she was having a conversation with somebody else. Connor was too much as well. He was in your face. And so Alisa was saying she likes the fact that, he's outspoken, he's very communicative and stuff. And it's like, you can only tolerate that for so long before that gets on your nerves. So the idea that you're complaining that David is not it because he doesn't communicate doesn't make sense. Yes, she appreciates that he calms her down. Yes, she appreciates that, he is sort of even killed when they're in crisis. But at the end of the day, I don't think this guy is it for him, for her. Sorry. Apparently, he's an 100 and 200 meter sprinter. He's training in this, hoping to be in the Olympics. He's a big talker. He's very vocal and loud. And, he then asked, so where do you stand in your relationship? Alisa said, I'm about 70% sort of convinced that this will work. So I'm still working on that and trying to see what we can do. She was asked, how do you think David will feel about you speaking to me? She said, he's not going to be happy because it's all about me. And when you had Connor ask Alisa, so how do you feel about, David being on a date with somebody else? She said, I don't care. I really couldn't be bothered. And it's like, are you for real? So you're not bothered, but you think he will be bothered. I don't think he's going to stay for this once he finds out what you're saying behind his back. And then Beck started shouting and calling David all sorts of names. She said, Alisa deserves better. At the end of the day, she feels like Connor is a better match for her. And it's like, there's a reason why experts didn't match her with Connor. Had he been the best match, they would have matched her. The reason why they didn't match them is because they knew that this would never work. So the idea that you are trying to push her doesn't make sense. Philip had been matched with Shannon. He said to Shannon, I'm very happy. I'm very secure in my relationship. We're making plans to move after the final vows. So for me, I am happy to speak to you, but I don't see us making any headway. So at some point, I will leave. He eventually left when David and Scott were leaving, and it's like, hey, good for him. Danny was complaining bitterly. He wasn't happy at the idea that how dare, the guy stand up and leave him. He said men would used to die in the trenches and these men can't even sit down and have a conversation with the ladies. He was very upset. We should have respected the ladies. This is what I think. I think Danny was just trying to throw the guys under the bus because he expected them to be his wingmen and he expected them to sort of sit there and have chats with him. That way, if anything happens, he could ask Beck to confirm with him that he didn't do anything wrong. Well, Gia then asked questions because Ignatius was matched with Rachel. And so she started asking him questions about himself. Rachel said she's not comfortable. She spoke a lot about Stephen and said she really misses Stephen. They're doing very well in their relationship. They've come a very long way and she's happy to continue to progress that. On his part, Stephen was busy telling his partner that, he's happy with his couple with Rachel. He's in a very good space and he can see life after the experiment with her. I hope so, because it's really sad. It's going to be sad if he plays with her. Taylor was matched with Beck. Taylor and Beck, I think, would have been a better match because they're just as toxic as one another, in my opinion. They're just as toxic as one another. And there were a lot of sexual innuendos and lewd jokes that I felt uncomfortable about. And everybody at the table was just looking at Beck like, oh my God, the flirting. It was unacceptable. And I don't know how she can think she can justify this for when Danny sees it, because whatever Danny says or does, he's going to use this as justification for what he did. So I don't understand how she can forget that they're being recorded, they're on camera, and she's making these inappropriate jokes. I know someone in my comments was making excuses for her. This is not good enough, I'm sorry. Danny had been coupled up with Chanel. He was very flirty. Well, he was very calm. Even the guys noticed that he was in his element. He was enjoying the attention the ladies were giving him. He was enjoying, being the center of attention. He was enjoying the ladies looking up to him as he sort of made his jokes and was very vocal. I think he was attracted to his partner. He was asked, would I be your type? And he said, I don't have a type. I think had the guys not been there, he would have been attracted and he would have made some sort of comment or some sort of effort for that. So, oh my God. So after the guys left, you then had Gia sit there and have a conversation with James. James was her alternate. He is more or less Scott with a couple of years older. And so they were having a chat about, what's your type? There was a bit of flirting. She said, had she met him on a night out, if she wasn't married, she would have gone out with him. He was laying it thick. he really was laying it thick. There was a lot of validation. There was a lot of inappropriate comments that I think when Scott sees it, he's not going to be happy. And then he was asking Gia for her number. And first, he said to Gia, you know, I am a patient man. I'm going to wait for you. Even if it takes a year, I'm going to wait. And Gia said, oh, well, it will be done in a week. And it's like, oh my God, this is the same joke that girl made from last season. So I don't get why she thinks this is a good look. He asked for Gia's number. Gia refused to give him her number. And then you had James write his number down. And Beck said, give it to me. I'll keep it for her. I'm Cupid. I'll give it to her when she needs it. And it's like, Beck and Gia have been playing stupid games. They really have. They've been pretending to be enemies just for clout. And now that the show is coming to an end, they can actually stand up and be who they are. Because I didn't get why Beck felt the need to get that number. Everybody was just looking. Poor Stella was like she's at a tennis match because she kept looking up and down the table and just watching the conversations as they went by. I can't wait to see what happens. Anyway, thanks guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Click on the link in my video to watch my review from episode 33. Bye guys.